Dominic, a charming and cunning young man of 28, had crafted a life of luxury in Abuja, not through his own earnings, but through the affections and wallets of young, financially independent women. His modus operandi was simple yet effective. He would weave himself into their lives, spinning tales of a future together, promises of marriage, and dreams of shared prosperity. In return, these women, smitten and hopeful, would sponsor his lavish lifestyle. He lived in a sprawling apartment in one of Abuja's most prestigious estates, drove a car that turned heads, and wore clothes that whispered of wealth. Dominic was the epitome of success, or so it seemed. Each woman believed she was the sole architect of his happiness, unaware of the others who shared her role. The facade began to crumble when Lucy and Anne, two of Dominic's victims, crossed paths. Old school friends, they had lost touch over the years, only to be reunited by chance at a mutual friend's engagement party. As they caught up on old times, their conversation inevitably turned to their love lives. They spoke of their fiancé, Dominic, with pride, each detailing the plans for their upcoming nuptials. Confusion took hold as they shared more, the similarities in their stories too striking to ignore. They decided to investigate, and the truth unraveled like a poorly knitted sweater. They were indeed engaged to the same man, their Dominic, who had been living a double life at their expense. Fueled by a sense of betrayal and the need for justice, Lucy and Anne devised a plan. They confronted Dominic together, presenting him with the evidence of his deceit. The shock on his face was a mix of fear and realization that his game was over. The confrontation between Lucy, Anne, and Dominic was a moment charged with a tumult of emotions and a fierce determination for truth. It took place in Dominic's opulent apartment, the very symbol of their misplaced trust and his deceit. Lucy and Anne arrived unannounced, their faces a mask of calm. Dominic, surprised by their joint appearance, welcomed them with a smile, unaware of the storm that was about to break. As they sat in the living room, surrounded by the trappings of the life he had built on lies, the women began to unravel their stories, weaving a tapestry of betrayal that left Dominic speechless. They presented him with evidence, identical engagement rings, messages, and promises he had made to each of them. With each word, Dominic's facade crumbled. He tried to interject, to explain, but the conviction in Lucky and Anne's voices left no room for his deceit. "You promised us a future, Dominic," Lucy said, her voice steady but her eyes betraying the hurt. "But all you've done is build a future on our backs, using us as stepping stones." Anne, usually soft-spoken, found strength in her anger. "We trusted you, and you played us for fools. Did you ever think of the pain you would cause?" Dominic's usual charm deserted him. He realized the game was up. There was no escaping the consequences of his actions. The realization that he had lost not just one, but two women who had loved him genuinely hit him hard. The confrontation ended with Dominic's admission of guilt and a plea for forgiveness. But Lucy and Anne were resolute. There would be no forgiveness for such a calculated betrayal. They left his apartment, leaving behind the man who had promised them the world, but had given them nothing but lies. The aftermath was tumultuous. Dominic's duplicity became the talk of the town, his reputation in tatters. Lucy and Anne, though wounded, found solace in their renewed friendship and the knowledge that they had exposed a predator. They moved on, wiser and more cautious, their bond forged stronger by the ordeal. After the confrontation, Dominic's life took a dramatic turn. The exposure of his deceit not only shattered his relationships with Lucy and Anne, but also rippled through his social circles in Abuja. His reputation, once that of a charming and successful young man, was now tarnished with the stain of his manipulations. Dominic found himself ostracized by friends and acquaintances who had once admired him. His name became synonymous with betrayal, and whispers of his actions echoed in the places he used to frequent. The luxurious apartment and expensive car, once symbols of his success, now stood as empty trophies of a life built on lies. Professionally, Dominic faced repercussions as well. His job, which he had managed to maintain through the generosity of his victims, was jeopardized as his employers questioned his integrity. Dominic faded into obscurity, a cautionary tale of greed and the perils of playing with hearts. His once charmed life was now a lonely one, a price he paid for his transgressions. The story of Dominic serves as a reminder that while deceit may offer temporary gains, truth and integrity are the pillars of lasting relationships and respect.